When is a game a scam? It might seem like a simple question, but even when it comes to hell, just not even getting hold of new games, get, like you know, I've seen some real shit. Like when it comes to games and the stuff they've pulled, because you know in the original draft of this video, I focused a lot on newer games and how, simply put it, a lot of them I think are just subpar. You know, Rage 2 having a, a game or a DLC with where you can break the scripting without even realizing it and soft lock your game, or at least soft lock 100%ing it. You know, because you played some of the side content or situations like Anthem where the game just it's broken and is never fixed. Even in Aliens Colonial Marines where a single letter in the code breaks the game and the devs just never bother fixing it. You know, even when if you fixed it and offered like a code, if you made a mod to fix that, there's a good chance you would be sold or not sold, sued. Hell, knowing these people, they probably have a slavery contract with some of these games. Cause if it's not the game itself being broken or being broken and never being fixed, it's being sold a product that's not the thing you're buying. If the game's good, you got to worry about if it's gonna pull a cyberpunk on you, because people are like, "Oh, cyberpunk's better." It's a good game, and even if that's true, the game that you were initially sold on, put it simply, the game talked about and showed in the trailers did not happen. It just didn't happen. You're not playing a cyberpunk RPG. You're playing like a fake RPG, which is another fucking thing. Fake games. Not in the sense that, oh, it's a game that doesn't exist, but like Starfield. You know, Starfield, both Starfield, hell, No Man's Sky. I mean, there's still stuff in the original trailer of No Man's Sky that's not in the game. And even though No Man's Sky is a situation of a game that, for the most part, is good and has tried to essentially become the game in the trailer, games like, like fucking like the other two games, both of those other two games, uh, Cyberpunk and Starfield, both of them, they're like they're like trying to be a game in one case, uh, having a bit of a meta joke that, to be honest with you, I didn't know. Well, hell, I don't know better. Uh, Starfield's like, we're an RPG, and like everything that's RPG related is either not fleshed out or, it's like the story and stuff is so open ended that there's not a fucking story. And when you're an RPG, the story is a massive portion. So if you got into that game, if you did it like all the other Bethesda games, you know, there's no story. So if you bought the game for story, you just been scammed, which is probably some of the least major offenders and least major like things is basically being sold games that aren't actually the game you're buying. In a lot of cases, it's just no game at all, because you know, another thing I was focused on in one of the older versions of this script was how AAA and the sort of, I guess you could say, Hollywood of gaming, sort of, the big companies, how these people will just fucking scam you. But put it simply, gaming in general, I mean, we all know about vaporware. Uh, you know, this is my first game, and I've decided to make an MMORPG. you know, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. And then 12, 13 years comes by, and it's like, what was that game? What was that guy? You remember some vague video of some dude who you can't remember talking about some game that not even didn't happen. Didn't even get into the fucking conceptual phase, some of these games. If the game was ever going to be there at all, I mean, fuck. Fucking take your poison. I mean, there are literally thousands of games. You know how there are thousands and thousands of games that have been released from fucking the beginning all the way to today? Well, when it comes to indie development, there are thousands of games that are they weren't games. They were just, if they were even ideas, they were just sort of thrown out there, If you guys want this game to happen, you gotta give me money. And then you give them a bunch of money, and they're gone. They just don't come around. And in a lot of cases, it's the developers actually did want to make a game, and things got carried away. But in a lot of cases, that's not happening. So, and hell, sometimes even the AAA development acts like it. If it's not that, it's perpetual early access till the fucking sun dies. Or if you're really unlucky, going back into early access, like what Ark's doing. Where you had a finished game, and now they're going back into early access in a different engine to iron out the details. I think they're just gonna fucking. They just want to get away with releasing the game super fucking early in a blatantly unfinished state, which is another thing that, hell, every fucking corner of gaming seems to do, where they're just like, you know what? Release that shit. Fucking Anthem. that shit was released in early access, and I'd argue that it never really left. Or I guess it depends on what your definition of a done and finished game is. But it's like, and even if you get the game, even if it's finished, sometimes it's just not fucking worth it. Like, hell, if I would describe really some fucking extent of, it's like, you gotta sell me a fake version of a game. Hell, sometimes they're reselling you mediocre versions of games that previously were good and came out, like with the GTA fucking trilogy thing, which, it's some games, you can't get a hold of, and then when you finally get a re-release, the damn re-release is just pitiful, pathetic. It's like, I mean, you guys look up some shit involving the GTA trilogy re-release and tell me, even now, I don't want to buy those games just on principle of what happened with them. It's like, it's like you gotta trust these companies to sell you the game in the condition that the game released in. I don't think any of the music's in that fucking game. It's like, And there's another thing. Getting the game in the condition that it originally was. Because even when these games are selling you experience, it's like Cabela's resells you their original Cabela's Dangerous Hunts, and they've bought, there's no hostile AI, and the music's missing, and fucking, there's glitches that are in the game that weren't in the game originally, and then both when they do that with new and old intellectual properties, the gall of these developers. You get like 400 fucking developers sitting here working on a game, and it comes out, and it not only comes out, but may just stick in a condition that is just not finished. Meanwhile, you got fucking Herat over here with a single guy, or the Sapling, where another good example of a game with a single person is working on it. One person! In the Sapling, it really is just one person. It's that fucking Stoop guy doing the music, the programming, the conceptual stuff for the game. All of this done by a single person. Hell, Herat is being developed by a single guy in fucking Chechnya. When was the last time you heard Chechnya being mentioned in anything? It's like, and it's a good game. It's a great game. I'd love to buy it. Meanwhile, I don't even think boomer shooters are being made by fucking modern games. And when they are, they're shit like fucking Rage 2. Where you get the fucking, I like Rage 2. I played it. I think it was neat. But you get this, like, you get developers that, quite frankly, I do not think should be given the stuff. Even with Rage 2, it's like, the developers did such a tonal shift that it does not feel like the same game. And it's broken to this day. And if you mention that to the devs, they will either freak out and act like mentioning that a game is broken is some kind of sin. You get Baldur's Gate 3. Either it's that or it's Baldur's Gate 3 in the sense that what I mean by that is you get developers when they actually make a good game, they're sitting over here trying to essentially tell you to not expect it. Essentially saying that if they were to make a sequel to this game, don't expect it to be as good as this game. Not simultaneously, not only that, but they're telling you to not expect games to be good and to be complete. Which, I mean, if I'm paying you like $100, yeah, it should be complete. At least playable from start to finish without having major glitches that glitches that have been there for years. So far as I know, that sequence breaking glitch in Rage 2 was there since the DLC came out, and they haven't fixed it. It's either that and getting bitched out by people who are just not going to fix it, or having some, if the game is good, having some strange, trying to make excuses for other developers who, quite frankly, make subpar games, or you're laughed at for buying, they're like sitting over here fucking chuckling their fucking asses off about how the fact they've basically scammed you. Developers who frankly don't like the game franchise. They don't like game development sometimes. You get Anita Sarkeesian, where you get a person where they haven't even picked up a fucking controller, yet they're being handed intellectual properties like fucking Halo, and even with stuff like Rage, when they're handed something that's not big and flashy and is quite frankly should have been, it's just games, Tony. I mean, Halo changed the way people viewed games. Half-Life changed the way people, you know, Half-Life came out, people realized stories in a game could be a thing. And then you get these chuckle fucks who just can't develop games. And when they do develop a game and it's subpar, they laugh at you for buying it. They're sitting over here bitching and complaining, calling you a homophobe and shit for not buying their game. Then when you buy their game, they fucking laugh in your face. It's like, and, and this is just some of the things. This stuff happens so much that, to be quite frank, I sometimes I don't even want to buy games. I don't even want to fucking, your flashy trailer comes out, Flash, that's exactly what it is, Flash, or, some guy comes out and he's talking about how he's, it's his passion project to make this game. And it's like, well, that's probably not coming out. And even when it does, even when everything aligns, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get some fucking jackass come out of the woodworks to basically dog on you for enjoying the experience. Sometimes it's the developer themselves. And I just don't feel like it anymore. I'm not made of money. I can't keep getting scammed like this, guys. It's to the point where I don't want to give games the benefit of the doubt anymore. Your passion project, give me a functioning game to play, and then I might fucking back your shit. But I hope that the Sapling and Herat and other games like that don't just fucking bottom out, but you never really know. I guess leave your comments on what you think about this. These statements of mine, and leave your own statements. What do you consider a scam in a game, or even when a game isn't itself a scam? What circumstances around the game would you consider to sort of retroactively make a game a scam, among other things? I'm running out of space for this thing. I guess see you unless I'm fucking taken out by a goddamn EA hit squad or some fucking shit for telling them their game shit, I can imagine they'd probably want to sue people for that. So yeah, I'm fucking dead before then, but you never know, fucking, ugh.